What's that, then? Today we're going to be reacting to Nihilism, the belief in nothing. Sounds interesting, the belief in nothing. How do you just not believe in anything? I don't know what this video necessarily is going to be about, just the belief in nothing. It's just, that sounds wild. It caught my attention, it caught my eye, seen them recommend it, caught my eye. And they're definitely going to check it out, the belief in nothing. Well, y'all, let's get to it.
We all know how it goes. One day we're born, one day we die.
Yep.
Everything that happens in between we know and understand. But everything that happened before and will happen after, we know nothing about.
Facts.
As a result, it's really difficult to say what exactly the meaning or importance for us being here is.
You gotta make that up.
If we can't tell how we came or where we came from, how can we know why we're here? In the same vein, if we don't know where we're going or what we're going to become,
you don't know.
How can we tell if any of our present actions have any significance at all?
You don't know at all.
It is this uncertainty of both our collective pasts and futures that has allowed the question, what is the meaning of life, to plague humanity ever since we became sentient. We've never been able to objectively answer.
There's no meaning of life. That's not impossible to answer. We don't know. We don't know why we're here. We don't know. We don't know. We didn't make us. Somebody else made us. A God made us. We don't know. You gotta make that up. Whatever you fuck with, like that. I just seen this comment right here. Because nothing actually matters. We can choose what matters to us. That's facts.
This question as a species. However, a lot of us have found comfort in many different ideologies to at least subdue the anxiety that it causes. In many different religions, a deity made the entire universe, put us all in it, and whatever we do on this earth will be used to determine when and how we spend eternity afterwards. For some others, the meaning of life is the love we share with friends, family, and our loved ones.
Yeah, that's how they decided
Some others
to
believe
live.
the existence of life in itself is what makes it worth living. But for nihilists, life is meaningless. All action, suffering, emotions, both good and bad, are entirely senseless and meaningless. This is nihilism. The belief in...
Oh, so that's like a real religion. I didn't know what I expected.
In our lives, many of us have been faced with nihilistic thoughts. We're hit by a strong sense of purposelessness, like our lives have no meaning, and we have no intrinsic value. Usually, this happens when we begin to question our old beliefs, but also just before we get new ones to hold on to. It's in that phase where you're growing out of your parents' beliefs, learning new things, getting new experiences, and forming your own views about the world. And usually, all of these thoughts begin with one simple question. Why? A three-lettered monosyllabic word that's capable of making anything and everything that feels like the rock of your foundation start to become slippery. Like quicksand dragging you into the misery that maybe, just maybe, your whole life hasn't been what you thought it was. Just pause and take a moment to think about your core values and just ask the question, why? Why do you believe those things? Where did they come from? Who did they come from? Keep asking and eventually you'll arrive at a point where there's no longer...
I've definitely done that, bro. I just had the conversation with myself in my head, like, what the fuck? Like, who made us? How did we even get here? When did, like, why? Just so many when, whys, hows, where's, everything, just thinking, and then you're like, I don't give a fuck. I don't know.
You'll arrive at nothing.
I don't know.
All the religions of the world, all of our scientific discovery, but yet the question why is one that we still cannot answer.
Yeah, that's it.
And so for the nihilist, it is at this point that they come to the conclusion that there is no why. There is no answer. There's simply nothing. As Alan Watts once wrote, life is nothing more than a trip from the maternity ward to the crematorium. It's really in the name. The term nihilism comes from the Latin word nihil, which translates to nothing, and ism, which translates to ideology. It's the ideology of nothing. But that doesn't really help us in understanding it completely. Usually, people confuse nihilism for pessimism, but they are very different from each other. Pessimists believe in the worst outcome. They have a downtrending view of the world, and tend to focus on the negatives in life, because they believe that, in the end, evil will always overcome good.
That sounds like a person with a lot of trauma and evil in their life. To say, the same niggas, well, not the same niggas who always fucking say, all girls are the same, and the fucking and bitches who say niggas ain't shit. Them type of niggas who would say some, who be on some this. It's just like at the end of the day, not everything is bad in the world. But at the end of the day, I can understand how people could view a certain way like that, depending on their life. You know, in your life, all you might have seen was negativity and bad shit. You know what I mean? So when you always see negativity and bad shit's always in your life, how can you expect somebody to think that there's gonna be some light when all I've ever experienced was negative shit? Even though you don't know, if you keep on living life, that darkness might turn into light. But so I can understand people view like that, but yeah, when I hear shit like that, it just speaks pain and trauma.
Makes them different.
To me.
Pessimists believe that there's good in the world, but they just don't think humans are capable of doing it, at least in its entirety. Nihilists, on the other hand, do not believe in anything. They don't believe that there's evil in the world, neither do they believe that there's good in the world.
I don't understand that.
In the mind of the nihilist, the world simply exists, and humans created morality, thereby creating good and evil.
Well, I kind of agree with that aspect. We did make what good and evil is. We did. Because it's like, we did make what's good and evil. We did. There's not really, like, we made what's good and evil. Why is killing somebody, that'd be considered evil? Why is that? We made that up. We don't know if that's right. We don't know if that's necessarily wrong. We just made that, and we said that was wrong. And that's how we said, we made it like, okay, yeah, that's wrong. You know, and then we said helping people and things like that, that's good, and that's how we labeled it. But why isn't it the other way around? It could be the other way around if that's what humans wanted to do. He kind of right. We kind of made that.
For instance.
We kind of made that.
Optimists say you should see the glass as half full, while pessimists say we should see the glass as half empty. Nihilists, they say throw the entire cup away, because what does it matter if it's full or empty? Full, empty, good, bad, it's all irrelevant. We're all going to die anyway.
God damn, that's such a fuck.
Nihilism
that don't sound like a sad life. Damn, who gives a fuck? It's not like we're gonna die anyway. That sounds like it's a sad life. Like, just like that, like live like nothing matters. It's just like at the end of the day, I don't know if nothing matters or not. But it's just like, I can tell you this, that's not an enjoyable life though. Who wants to live like that? Who wants to live like nothing matters? Like it's just like, that's just such a boring and sounds like a miserable life to me, but I don't know.
Away,
maybe it's not.
Because what does it matter if
me,
it's full
from my
or
life,
empty?
it sounds like a miserable life
empty,
to me.
Good, bad, it's all irrelevant. We're all going to die anyway. Nihilism is also often compared to several other philosophies, like cynicism and apathy. But again, they are all very different from one another, and correctly categorizing your thoughts in these baskets may be harder than you think. Cynics believe that people are always motivated by self-interest. They don't believe that anyone can have intrinsically good motives. They have no faith in the human species and believe that we're all entirely selfish, only fighting for our own benefit. However, the idea that humans are not good means that in the mind of the cynic, good exists out there somewhere, just not in humans. In the mind of the nihilist, nothing exists out there. There's no good or evil. They don't see people as evil, neither do they see them as good, because they don't believe either of those things exist. They're simply traits we've applied to things. Apathetic people just don't care. They believe that there's meaning to life, but they simply don't care about it. Nihilism, on the other hand, is the idea that there's no grand design or purpose, nothing to believe in, and therefore no meaning. This brings to mind the paradox of nihilism. If you believe in nothing, then that nothing becomes something that you believe in. But since you now believe in something, then there is no nihilism, because nihilism is the belief that there is nothing.
But if you believe that there's belief in nothing, that means you believe in something.
Ideas because it was first a literary invention before it ever became philosophical. As a result, it's not clearly defined as many of the other philosophies that exist. Many different people explained it in many different ways, but eventually these different definitions got categorized, forming many different kinds of nihilism. There's political nihilism. Political nihilists believe that for humanity to move forward as a species, all political, social, and religious order must be destroyed. Then there's ethical nihilism. Humanity to move forward as a species, all political, social, and religious order must be destroyed.
I kind of agree because, those are the things that separate us. Socially, race, religion, and culture and political view, like those are the things that separate us, but I think that's not a possible thing to do. I just don't think that's possible. It's just like to just take that. I just don't think that's possible. But I kind of agree. If we all, those are the things that separate us: race, religion, and culture, and those are the things that separate us. Separate people. But I just don't think that's possible to do.
Then there's
that's
ethical nihilism.
What's happening?
It rejects the idea of absolute ethical or moral values. With this type of nihilism, good or bad is only defined by society, and, as such, it shouldn't be followed if we as a species will ever attain absolute individual freedom. We can kind of just do whatever we want. And then we have existential. As such, it shouldn't be followed if we as a species will ever attain absolute individual freedom. We can kind of just do whatever we want. And then we have existential nihilism. It's the understanding that life has no value or meaning. It's the most popular kind of nihilism, and the one we've been talking about for most of this video. For nihilists, the existence of things like the state, religious bodies, and even communal morality is a breach on our freedom as individuals. If we can't do absolutely anything we want to do, then are we truly free? Or have we simply bound ourselves by some kind of invisible mental chain for reasons we can't explain?
Ever wonder what?
I don't think so. What he said? He said, if we can't do absolutely whatever we want to do, we'll be exactly free. But I feel like, well, I guess this is, for today they'll probably say, okay, well, what you believe is that's just what people has put into like what they believe, like in like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just like, you can't do whatever the hell you want to do. You know what I mean? You can't do everything, and I don't think that means you're not free. I just think that means that at the end of the day, like going to hurt somebody.
Google knows about you.
That's not.
They're not very secretive.
Why go hurt somebody? That's not something that.
One night I was scrolling through Reddit and I came across the question: if you had the chance to save your pet or a stranger, who would you save? An overwhelming number of people said their pet, pretty obviously.
Yep. When
one commenter was confronted, they simply asked the question, why do you think a human life is worth more than that of an animal? And no one really had an answer.
Yeah.
Of course, people tried to beat around the bush, but the question.
Well, that's what people think, though. You're not going to sit up. You're not going to sit up here, and the reason why we think human lives are more important than animals' life is, well, because we're all humans, and we're smarter than them, and we own them. We own animals. We are owners of animals. Dogs, we're owners of them. So we think we're above them. So in a case where, like, some people, we're going to keep it a cow. You think, and I think it too. I'm a victim. We think that we're better than animals. We think that our life is more important than animals. That's why if we killing a person, we'll feel mad guilty about it. We kill a damn bug, we don't give a damn that we killed a bug. We kill animals all the time. We don't care. We don't care. It doesn't affect us too much. Some people might affect them, but it's just like killing a human and killing an animal. That affects people in different ways, man. Because we think we're above animals, like we own these animals. They're in a different hierarchy than us. So like killing an animal or something, it might not affect you. It's not going to affect you as much as it might killing a human, because that's just different.
Why was never answered. And that right there is the point of the nihilist. If we can't answer why we bind ourselves by these rules, then why do we choose to do it? Well, it might be because of the existential horror and the emotional anguish that comes with agreeing to the fact that life is meaningless. Think about it for a minute. If life is truly meaningless and everything we're doing has no value, then all the feats of science, the wonders of technology, things like space exploration and human rights
it wouldn't be here. Everybody
just
thought nothing mattered.
And then
But
think
we
about
made
the fact that it all
something
might
matter.
just
We
be a
made
waste,
that matter.
a blip in
So
time
that's
with
when-
no consequence
where
whatsoever
we
in the
living
grand
in
scheme
now.
of things.
Because somebody
Knowing
made
that all the things
happen.
we experience,
Even though
the ups and downs
nothing
we go
necessarily
through,
matters, you gotta
but
make
in the
things
end,
matter. You gotta make things
it's
matter.
all for nothing.
That's such a boring,
We aren't obligated to
I don't
understand the
know.
chaos of reality,
That's a miserable life.
just to laugh at it. Friedrich Nietzsche was a strange philosopher because he argued both for and against nihilism at the same time. Arguing for, he explained that there is no objective structure or order in our world except for the one that we create for ourselves.
Which is facts, I
He once
absolutely
said,
agree.
every belief, every considering something true is necessarily false, because there is simply no true world.
Yeah.
He believed nihilism would expose all of humanity's beliefs and truths as nothing but a symptom of defective Western mythology. As he famously said, God is dead. Now, he wasn't talking about the actual deity of the religions. He was talking metaphorically about the power that religious orders held at the time, and how people were starting to chart their own paths, find their own meaning in life, denying what the status quo was at the time. But then, in the same breath, Friedrich argued against nihilism, saying that in the coming centuries, the advent of nihilism would drive civilization towards a catastrophe, a disaster waiting to implode,
Swear to God.
a river that has reached its end.
Imagine if everybody just believed in nothing. Just believed in nothing. Where would we go? Where would progress be? We wouldn't be anywhere. Look at this world of technology. Imagine if everybody just believed in nothing. You think we would have this shit? You think we would have this shit? Like, everybody just believed in nothing. Just nothing. Nothing matters. Nothing this. It would be, oh my God. You know how much chaos the world would be. It would be war. People would be hurting each other for no reason because nothing matters. This and that. People just feel like they can do whatever they want. They can hurt people. They can do whatever the hell they want. It's like there would be no room for creativity. There would be no room for imagination. No room for anything. Just everything would be for no reason. And that would be a fucking crazy world we would live in. I'm telling you. That's a sick world.
And if you look at the most destructive civilizations in human history, we can clearly see that this is true. Long-standing cultural traditions, beliefs, religious institutions, and even financial systems are broken down, and nothingness starts to creep in. Think about it. If nothing matters and we're all just a random combination of transient atoms, how can we call Hitler objectively one of the worst humans to ever live for trying to wipe out an entire culture?
What did you say?
Transient atoms, how can we call Hitler objectively creep in? Think about it. If nothing matters and we're all just a random combination of transient atoms, how can we call Hitler objectively one of the worst humans to ever live for trying to wipe out an entire culture? At a fundamental level, most of us understand that all of these things are indeed terrible. But the danger is that because we cannot explain why we feel that way logically, we can never convince another person to follow the same path. And that is exactly what Friedrich feared. Some people still blame him for the Nazi era, because although he saw all of these dangers, he still continued preaching nihilism. He believed that if we could work through the breakdown of civilization that nihilism would eventually cause, we can then create a new course of action for mankind. He believed that to move forward as a species, we must create a new morality, one that does away with the prejudice of what existed before, because at the end of the day, tearing down your old house shouldn't make you homeless. Rather, it should present you with an opportunity to build a bigger and better home.
Well, that's not life.
Pause and look around you for a moment. Observe everything that's going on, particularly on social media, and you can see that we as a species might just be heading for another nihilism outbreak. Religion no longer holds any say in what is morally acceptable. People are destroying long-standing beliefs and cultural practices, and are instead charting new courses for themselves. Anything, no matter how despicable you think it is, now has a loyal fan base defending why they have a right to do whatever it is they want to do. And in reality, why not? That's the question no one can answer. Humanity will keep shifting the needle forward ever
because
so
this is like one of those things where, like, at the end of the day, we made good and evil. We made what was considered necessarily right and wrong. Why can't I? But at the end of the day, you can't do whatever the fuck you want. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the majority of the world doesn't want. The majority of the world knows that you can't do whatever the hell you want. You can't go around just doing illegal shit just because you want to do it, and the majority of the world knows that. So maybe people might be going crazy, but I'm telling you, nigga, you're gonna get arrested because that's the laws that the people made. And majority of the people don't want people to just go out here doing what the hell they want to do just because they feel like nothing matters.
None of us will be able to tell the other that they're wrong, because why are they wrong? William Shakespeare once wrote, "Life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, but signifying nothing. If life is truly meaningless and we have no purpose for being here, our response should be to make the best out of a bad situation. Instead of seeing the glass half full or half empty, we can simply throw it out and drink directly from the faucet until we're satisfied. Because at the end of the day, life alone is reason enough for living.
Yeah, nigga, you got the life, bro.
On terms. So it's important.
I mean, you got the life, bro. Might as well live it, bro. Stop living it like, oh, nothing matters. This doesn't matter. Why does that matter? Oh, that doesn't even matter. Nigga, you had that life, bro. Just nigga, make it up, bro. Make it up, nigga. You have a mind, bro. You have a mind that can do wonderful things. A brain made this. A brain made that TV over there. Put it in over. A brain made all of these things. You can't tell me your brain can't finally just imagine and function and just make up a meaning of life, because there's no meaning of life. There's no meaning of life. We don't know the meaning of life. We don't know why we're here when we got here. We don't know any of these things. We don't know. Well, you can spend your time thinking about all you want. You'll never find out unless you die. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know that either. We don't know. But you have this life. You just got to make that up. Make that up. Make it up, nigga. Use your imagination. Use your brain. We all have one. We all have a brain. Use that, man. Use that to make up a meaning of your life. You're right. If we want to talk about, there's no necessarily meaning of life. You're absolutely right, but there's no meaning of it. There's no purpose or meaning of life. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, life is so boring and miserable when you don't believe in it. I mean, when you don't believe that nothing matters. Like, that just seems like such a boring and miserable life to me. I thought that was a really interesting video. I didn't know people really like believed in that shit. I mean, I can understand it, I guess. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Well, see y'all later. Woo!